everyone. I'm audible to you. My voice is audible. Okay, sorry to make you wait because some relatives came, so I inform you. We'll start the session. So before that, let me just revise what we have discussed in our last class, which was on Saturday. So I think you might have remembered what was the topic we discussed on that day. So we completed on that day what we have done on Saturday. Anybody remember? We have completed the storage management. Yes. So with that, all the topics, including backup and recovery, before one day, that is on Friday, we completed this. So with this, everything is completed except the Active Directory remaining classes. So we have total 5 classes of Active Directory. Out of that 5 classes, one class is over. That is the Active Directory first class, in which we discussed about how we can create the domain controller. So how we have created the domain controller, that is our DC. So first we have installed the ADDS. Then we promoted it. While promoting, the domain got created. Then we made that as a domain controller, that is a server. So using the domain controller, we created domain users. We provided the security by using the permission. We protected the users data by applying profile. We organized the users based on the department using the OU. We discussed how to give some of the administrator privilege using the OU, using delegation. Then we discussed how to apply the group policy from the DC machine on OU domain and site. Then after that, we discussed how to configure DSCP server, DNS, IIS, WDS, Hyper-V, RAS, how to take the backup and restore, how we can take the remote desktop. After that, day before yesterday, we discussed about storage management. On that, we discussed how to, what are the different types of hard disk, different types of partition table, different types of file system, different types of storage, NAS, DAS, and then we implemented the RAID using the iSCSI. Okay. So with this, everything is completed except the Active Directory remaining classes. So now we'll proceed with the Active Directory second class, which is also very, very important. So now we'll focus on in today's session, which is the Active Directory second class. In the second class of the Active Directory, we are going to focus on the structure of the Active Directory. So today our session will be on the structure of the Active Directory. So today we are going to focus on the structure of the Active Directory. Second class is about the structure of the Active Directory. So today we are discussing in the Active Directory second class, in which we are discussing about the structure of the Active Directory. So this structure of the Active Directory is divided into two types. So the structure of the Active Directory is divided into two types. They are called physical structure of Active Directory, and the other one is logical structure of Active Directory. So the physical structure of the Active Directory consists of domain controller, which is called server. How to configure this? We already discussed in the Active Directory first class. Yes. And the site. Site means the location or the place where our servers, where servers are kept, that location, that place is called as site. So about this site, we'll be discussing in the Active Directory final class. Fifth and final class of Active Directory will be discussing the site. So today is the Active Directory second class, in which we are going to discuss completely about the structure of the Active Directory. So the logical structure of the Active Directory consists of domain, tree, and forest. So these are the three things we have to discuss. So today, these about what is domain, tree, and forest we are going to cover in Active Directory second class. So today our complete session, structure of the Active Directory, we are going to discuss in the Active Directory second class, which is today. Okay. So we'll start our today's session with what? Domain. So already we discussed in the first class of Active Directory, domain is a logical boundary which is given by DNS name, under which all devices will work with a common DNS name. But whatever we have discussed, the domain, that is incomplete without one thing. So that thing is we have not discussed. So that we are going to discuss. So with that, the domain will be completed. So whatever domain we are aware or discussed, it is incomplete without the things which we have not discussed till now, that we will discuss. So that makes the complete domain. So we'll start the session with what? We'll start the session with what? Domain controller. So today we'll start the first topic in the Active Directory second class about the domain. So we already discussed that domain is a logical boundary. So can we see that? No. But it is given by the triangle, and it is identified or represented with a DNS name. So in my case, I created my domain with what name? Zoom.com in the first class of the Active Directory. So in that, when we are creating, the most important machine in the domain model is DC. So when we configure the DC after installing the ADDS, so domain got created. So domain is a logical boundary which is given by triangle, which is identified by the DNS name. DNS name means name with extension. So in that, the most important machine is DC, domain controller. Now that domain controller will be connected in the network to the switch. Onto the switch, we will connect all the machines. So they will be in work group. So we have discussed how to join the machine into the domain. So when in Windows, we have two types of machines. In Windows, we have two types of OS, client OS and server OS. So whenever we install either client OS or server OS, by default, all the machines will be in work group. So after the ADDS first class, we have discussed in client and member server. You might have remembered. So when we join the machine into the domain with client OS, then this machine is called client. When a machine with server OS join into the member server, when a machine with the server OS join into the domain, then that is called member server. So in Windows, we have two types of OS. So that is client OS and server OS. So whenever we join the machine, the computer with client OS into the domain, before joining it is called work group. But if that same machine with the client OS join into the domain, then that computer or that machine is called client. And same way, when a computer with the server OS, which is by default is work group also, it is also in work group, but that same computer with the server operating system, it is joined into the domain, then that computer is called member server. member server. Okay, client and member server. So if a domain user is created from the DC, that user can log in from client as well as member server. Yes, but what is the difference I said you in client and member server? In member server, we can configure some additional servers, which we can't do in client. Like today, suppose the most important machine in the domain model is DC. If the DC get failed, what happens? The entire network will be down. So to avoid this, so these machines might be working. So if the DC is down, can we log in as a domain user in any machine? From any machine, can we log in as a domain user? Tell me, if our DC is down and this client and member server is working, can you log in from the client or member server as a domain user? Yes, please tell me. Yes or no? Can we log in or we cannot log in? Tell me that. Yes or no? No one is replying. Yes, that is the answer, Abdul Muhammad Abdul. Yes, we cannot log in. Even though these machines are working, if the DC is down, complete network will be down. No users can able to log in, even if their machines on which they are sitting is working. Because here it is not working. So this machine will, these users from this machine, they cannot log in. So how do you overcome this problem now in real time? If the DCs get failed, the entire network will be down. The other machine might be working, but we cannot log in from any machine as a domain user. So how do you overcome this problem? If the DCs failed, the entire network will be down. So how we can overcome this problem? Tell me, what is the solution? Solution is there or no solution? Solution is there. Now I'm given the hint. Solution is there. Yes, we have to maintain the backup of DC. So DC is called domain controller. The backup of DC is called ADC. So ADC can be configured on client or member server. ADC can be configured on client or member server. Member server only. That's why we use the second machine also with the server with the second machine also we use the machine with the server OS, because we cannot configure the backup servers or any additional servers which is required to be configured in a network in client machine. So that can be done with member server. So we have two machines, system 1, system 2. So our system 2 is member server. So if the DC is failed, the entire network will be down. So to avoid that, what we can do today, we can make our second machine as a ADC. So your domain is incomplete without ADC. So domain cannot be there without domain controller. So domain is this is a complete domain. Domain is a logical boundary in which all the devices including DC, client, member server and ADC will work with a common DNS name. So you cannot have domains. You cannot have domain without domain controller. So for one domain controller is mandatory. So for one domain, can we have more than one domain controller? No. For one domain, only one domain controller. But if you keep only one domain controller, if the domain controller get failed, the complete network will be down. So to avoid that, we need to maintain the backup of DC, backup of domain controller. That is called ADC. So today we are going to discuss about how to configure the ADC. So till now, whether we have discussed how to configure ADC? No. We have discussed how to configure DC. So how to configure DC, you remembered? So to configure the DC, the first step we did was first we install the ADDS. After installing the ADDS, we promoted it. So promote to DC by using the third option. What is third option? If you have forgotten, I'll tell you when we start the. Then how do you check it? How do you check it? This will become the DC or not? Go to the command prompt. type it net space accounts. So when you give net space accounts, it will be showing computer role name as primary. So this is how you will make a DC. दिला देना 2-3 में नब्बे दिला सकता हूँ हाँ अगर सर दिलाते ना पक्का सही दिला साल So now to make the ADC, here also same step. Install the ADDS, then promote it. To promote it to promote to ADC by using first option. What is first option? What is third option? I'll show you practically. Then how do you check it? How do you check it? Whether it is become the DC and so if you go to the command prompt, type it net space accounts, it will be showing as backup. It will be showing at backup. So for DC it will show primary. For DC it will show primary. For ADC it will show when you go to the computer, when you go to the command prompt, type it net space accounts, the computer role name will show what? Backup. For DC, primary. For ADC, backup. So this is how you can distinguish. So once you create a ADC, whatever is there in the DC, it will replicate automatically. We don't have to do anything. So can we create new user from here? Yes. So it is two-way replication. If you create anything from the ADC, that also replicate to the DC. What is the advantage when you configure ADC? It is failed. ADC will provide same support because whatever users you have created, whatever group you have created, whatever OU you have created, same whatever we created in the DC, same thing will be there in the ADC. Same thing. Suppose here I created 3 users, here also 3 users. If I create a group, so suppose group 1, here also it will be group 1. If I create any OU like sales, here also I have group. Same thing will get created. So that's why if the DC get failed, ADC will provide same support to the client in the network. So when you are working on the domain model, so we have discussed every company uses only domain model. No company uses workgroup model. So every company will be maintaining DC. So if you are maintaining the DC, it is also very important to maintain ADC. So all the companies will be maintaining compulsory one DC, minimum one ADC. So for one domain, how many domain controller we can have? For one domain controller compulsory. Can you have for one domain more than domain controller? No, for one domain, only one domain. But we can have any number of ADC. DC can be only one. For one domain, only one DC. But if the DC get failed, our network should not get failed. So for that, how much the DC is important? Same way ADC is also very important. Because if the DC get failed, our network should not get affected. So for that, we have to compulsory maintain the ADC. So today we will see practically how to configure the ADC. But overall, I have given this is the difference. Here also we have to make the DC, we install ADDS, we promote it to DC by using third option. And how to check it? Once the DC becomes, go to the command prompt, type net space account, it will be showing primary. To make the ADC, same procedure. Install the ADDS, promote it by using here instead of third option, first option. And how to distinguish between DC and ADC? DC will be showing primary in computer role under the command prompt. So same way, if you have configured the ADC and how to check it, go to the command prompt, type it net space account. It will be showing computer role name as backup. So that is your ADC. So for one domain, you can have only one domain controller, that is DC. but you can have any number of or multiple ADCs. So this is about your domain. So now this is your complete domain. So how do you say that domain? Domain is a logical boundary which is given by triangle under which all the devices, including uh, domain controller, client, member server, ADC will work with a common DNS name for easy administration and security. So you cannot have your complete domain without, you cannot have a domain without, you cannot have a domain without domain controller. Same way your domain is incomplete without ADC. So your complete domain consists of domain controller, ADC, client and member server. So already we know how to make a DC. Client and member server also we know how to. You join the computer with client OS into the domain. That is called client. We already joined the machine with the server OS into the domain. That is member server. So already our system is one is DC, one is member server. So today system 2, we first need to change to work group. So first we need to change that system to work group and then make it as a ADC. How to do? These are the steps. So today we'll see how to make a ADC. So first our member server system to member server is there, no? So we need to first change this machine from member server to the work group. Because when you want to make DC or ADC, the machine should be in work group. How to do? I'll show you. After that, you can make it as a, so ADC, first to change member server into work group. Then you can make it as a ADC by using these options. So in the domain, how many types of machines we will have? 4. One is DC, one is ADC, one is client, one is member server. Work group might be there, but domain users cannot log in from the work group. So have you understood this very important point about the domain? So this is your domain. So your domain is incomplete without ADC. You cannot have a domain without DC. Domain cannot be there without DC. For one domain controller mandatory. But your domain is incomplete without ADC. Okay. So if you understood this, I'll go to the next topic, that is tree. Yes, tell me, have you understood this? Practically also we will do it. Okay. So then I'll go to the next topic. That is member server. Sorry, member server already we have done. So now my next topic is tree. So the logical structure of Active Directory consists of domain. So we have discussed about domain. So next topic is tree. So under the logical topology, a logical structure of the Active Directory which consists of so this is your domain. Logical structure of Active Directory consists of domain. Now we are going to discuss about tree. Logical structure consists of tree. So tree is a collection of multiple domain. So tree is a collection of multiple domains. Collection of multiple domains is called as tree. So suppose this is your domain. So which is the first domain you have created? That first domain is called parent domain. So your first domain is called as the parent domain. So let us assume that this is the branch you have opened in Hyderabad. First your startup company you have opened with this domain. zoom.com. This is your first domain. So that will be a parent domain. So domain cannot be there without domain controller. So you have made the DC. So domain is a logical boundary under which all devices will work with a common DNS name. Okay. So here domain user is there. DC is there. So for one domain controller. For one domain, you cannot have more than one domain controller. So this will be connected to the switch. So this is our switch. Onto that, you will have client and member server. One of the member server, you can make it as a ADC. So this is your member server. Client member server, ADC. And this is your DC. This is your ADC. This is a client, this is a member server. Okay. So this is your domain. So now this is how the domain will be working. Now suppose after few years, your business is increasing and you felt that you can increase further your business by opening the branch in some other part of the India. So you started one more branch in Bangalore. So can you have two domain with the same name? Can you have two domain with the same name? No. So what is your first domain? That is your parent domain. After that, whatever domains you are creating, they are called child domain. So you cannot have two domain with same name. So here we have given mcsc.zoom.com. So this is one domain. Yes. So this is called, your first domain is called parent domain. After that, whatever domain you are creating, that is called child domain. So if it is a domain compulsory, you will have DC. This will be connected to the switch. Now you will have client, you will have member server, client member server, and you will also have one separate one which is called ADC. So here I have some user. Okay. Now this collection of multiple domain is called as tree. So now the U1 can log in here. Yes. M1 can log in here. Yes. But my question is, can the U1 log in here? Can the U1 log in here? Yes, because they belong to same family. Collection of multiple domain is called tree. So when the user is created in one domain and log in from other domain, then you have to write user full name. If you don't write user full name, just U1. So it will check here in the Kerberos protocol. The Kerberos protocol will check here in this file ntds.dit. So in that, do you have any U1 file? No. This is M1. So here, when the user is created one domain and login from other domain means you have to write full name. Full name means name of the user at the rate in which domain it is created, that you have to write. So it will understand now this user has to be checked not in the local domain. It has to be checked in other domain. So this collection of domain is called as. Now here, can the U1 login? Yes, for that you have to write in which domain that U1 is created. So if you write now, the Kerberos protocol will check here. Here, the complete domain information where it will be there. Yeah. Every domain will have one domain controller. In domain controller, their local. So that particular branch information will be there in their entds.dat file. Okay. So now how we can understand DC and ADC? So DC means when you go to the command prompt, type it netSpace account, it will show primary. Now here, if you go to the ADC and type netSpace accounts, it will be showing backup. So there is no problem in understanding the DC and ADC. But if you have multiple domain, then the first domain is called parent domain. Then the next domain, child domain. So in the child domain, parent name is also coming. So this is your child domain name. This is the parent. So this is called contiguous domain name. Now, after the parent domain, you can create any number of child domain, or after the parent domain, whatever domain you create, those all domains comes under child domain. Now we have two domains here. So now can the U1 log in here? Yes, you have to write full name. Full name means U1 at the rate in which you have to write that user is created in which domain, that domain name. Same way, M1 is created here. M1 is created here. So can the M1 login from here? Yes, can log in. So how to log in? You should not write only M1. You have to write M1 at the rate where it is created, the complete domain name, MCSE dot com. Now the question is, here also DC is there, ADC. So we can easily understand which one is DC, which one is ADC. But now when you have multiple domain, so this is also DC, but child DC. So your first domain, remember, always will be parent. Rest of the all other domain is child domain. So here, when you go to the child domain, after the first domain, whatever domain you are creating, they are all child domain. So now how do you distinguish between this DC and this DC? Because this also will show primary child DC and child ADC also will show backup. So then how we can distinguish which is your parent DC, which is your child DC? So how we can distinguish now parent DC and child DC? So for that, very important concept is there. If it is a parent DC, if it is a parent DC, one option is you'll have only one dot. Here two dots. But some child domain can also have single dot that I'll show you is not a feasible option. So the another important and easy thing how to remember parent DC and child DC. So you have to go to the ADUC console. From there, you go to the users. Under the users, you will have two users in DC, schema, schema, schema admin. This is one user, and enterprise, enterprise admin, enterprise admin. So these two users are present. These two users are present only in parent DC. So these two users are present in parent are present only in parent DC, but not in any ADC. So this is how you have to remember. Only in the parent DC schema admin and enterprise admin will be there under the ADC console users. In the child domain, these two users will not be there. Enterprise admin and schema admin. Okay, understood this? So collection of multiple domain is called tree. Collection of multiple domain is called as tree. So if you understood this, shall I start with the last one, forest? Okay. So one more thing, last thing. After that, we will have a break. After the break, we will go for the practical. And today onwards, we'll start the Linux also. So today I started session little bit late. So because some of our relatives came. So today I'll take little bit extra time. Okay. Now the last one under the structure of the activity is forest. So forest is a collection of trees. In the forest, what you will have? Trees. In the trees, you will have multiple domain. Collection of trees is called as forest. So here you have one tree here. So just now we have discussed the tree. So this is one your main domain. So which domain you have created first? That is called parent domain. So if it is a domain means compulsory DC will be there. Then switch will be there. Onto that you will have client and member server. One of the member server you have to make ADC. So like this, it will be connected through the internet. Another domain. So here you cannot have two domain name with same name. So this is called contiguous domain name, where the child in child domain name, parent domain, parent name comes. So if you ask the person's full name, they'll tell first their name, in the middle the father name, and at the last the family name. So that complete is the name. So here also the first name will be childhood. This is your parent domain name. So in the parent domain name, if the child name is coming, that is called contiguous domain name. So this is a child domain. So how many parent we can have? Only one parent. Rest of that child domain. So child domain, how many child domain can be there? Any number of. So once a domain is there means you cannot have a domain without domain controller. So you cannot have a domain without domain controller, which is connected to switch and client and member server. One of the member server you can make as a ADC. So this is your one tree. Collection of multiple domains is called tree. Collection of multiple domain is called tree. Now, suppose this is the branches you have opened. initially in Hyderabad, then one more branch in Bangalore. Now you have opened another branch, maybe in Chennai, say suppose, Chennai. So there you are giving one domain name. So now in this domain name, it is also a child domain. But in this child domain, any parent name is coming? No. So ccna.com. So this is also a child domain. You can have only one parent domain and rest of them all will be child domain. So this is also a child domain. But in this, the parent name is not coming. So what you will call this child? Non-contiguous. So domain means compulsory DC will be there. Some users will be there. For simplicity, I'm taking one users, client and member server. Okay. So now this is also a tree. This is also one tree. And this is also a tree. So this collection of multiple trees is called as forest. Now this is nothing but forest. Okay. So collection of multiple trees is called. So in the forest, how many domains we can have? Any number of. Out of that any number of domain, only one will be parent domain and remaining all be child domain. So how many child domain we can have? There is no limit, any number of. But how many parent domain we can have in a single forest? Only one. One parent and any number of child. So this collection of trees is called forest. So what is your parent domain name? That will become the forest domain name. So the forest name will be, what is the parent domain name? That will become the forest name. So forest name and parent domain name will be same. Forest name and parent domain name will be same. Parent domain name and forest name will be same. Now here, now here, now here, since this user belong to same forest, any user can log in from any domain. Now, can the user log in here? Yes. U1 at the rate. You have to write full name. When the user is created in one domain and log in from other domain, you have to use full name. U1 at the rate, which domain it is created? Zoom.com. Same way, now the user created here can log in here. So M1 at the rate MCSE.zoom.com. Same way, this user can log in here. C1 at the rate ccna.com. So any user can log in from any domain. User is created in one domain but login from other domain. It will be possible, yes, because they belong to same forest. So you have to understand like this. Same forest means same family. Can you go to your uncle house? Yes. Your uncle children can come to your house? Yes, because they belong to same family. So forest you have to understand like this, one parent remaining child. So any user can log in from any within the same forest. If it is different forest, they cannot log in each other resources. For that, you have to create trust. So that we will be discussing in Active Directory 4th class. So today, how many practicals we have to do? 3 practicals today. Your first domain is already created. Your first domain is parent domain. Parent domain and forest domain is same. Both name will be same. So today we have to do three practicals. One is how to create the ADC. Second, how to create the child domain. Third one, how to create a tree, new tree. So these are the three practicals we have to do. Along with that, we have to start the Linux introduction, which I'll start today. Okay. So whatever I have said, same thing you can find in the slide. ADC. So if you are maintaining only one domain, if the domain get failed, your complete network will be down. So to avoid that, in every domain model, which compulsory domain model cannot be there without domain controller. So for every domain model, for every one domain controller will be there. But if you are keeping only for one domain, only one domain controller, if the domain controller get failed, the entire network will be down. So to avoid that, in the real time, compulsory for each and every domain, one domain controller will be there. Along with that, every company will be maintaining one additional domain controller, which is called ADC. ADC full form, additional domain controller. What is the full form of ADC? Additional domain controller. So this is nothing but it is a backup of DC. So if you maintain the compulsory, every company will maintain the ADC also. So when we maintain the ADC, what it can do, it will improve the availability and reliability of the services. If the DC is failed also, ADC will provide same support. So by adding the additional domain controller, so for one domain, how many domain controller we can have? Parent domain. So for one forest, how many parent domain we can have? Only one. You can have any number of child, but for one forest, only one parent domain, remember. Which is your first domain? That is your parent domain. So by keeping multiple domain controller, you cannot make the child domain as a parent domain. First domain will be always parent domain. After that, whatever domain you create, there comes under child domain. So if you maintain the child domain, it will help provide fault tolerance. Fault tolerance means if you are maintaining DC and ADC, if the DC get failed, ADC will provide the same support which the DC is to provide. So the client will not know also the DC is not working, because whatever you have in the DC, same thing will be there in the ADC. So ADC provide fault tolerance. Fault tolerance means when we maintain DC and ADC, if the DC get failed, ADC provide the same support which the DC used to provide, because the DC and ADC contain same thing. And it will also do the load balancing. If you have one DC, one ADC, so some of the services will be provided by DC, some ADC. So the load balancing will be done, and it provide additional infrastructure. So if you are maintaining the ADC, if the DC get failed, there will be no problem in the network. ADC will provide the support to the existing clients or customer. So the replication between DC and ADC is two-way. So whatever you have in the DC, it will replicate to ADC, and whatever you do in the ADC, it will replicate to DC. Okay. So this is about your ADC. Now come to the tree. Tree is a collection of multiple domain. So it can be with contiguous domain name or without contiguous. Contiguous means in the child domain name, if the parent name is appearing, that is called contiguous. Non-contiguous means in the child domain name, if the parent name is not appearing, that is called non-contiguous. So if you have more than one domain, the combination or collection of multiple domain is called tree. So which is your first domain, that is called root domain or the parent domain. The first domain which you have created, that is called your parent domain. And after that, whatever domain you are creating, those are child domain. So your domain immediately above the domain is its parent, like mcsc.zoom.com. So zoom.com is the parent for the MCSE. A domain immediately above the other domain is its parent. So if you are written mcsc.zoom.com, so zoom.com is the parent, MCSE is a child. Now the example for tree. Okay, you can see the diagram here. ms.com, first domain, that is your parent domain. After that, you are creating mcitp.ms.com. So mcitp is a child domain for ms.com. So ms.com is the parent. Now, if you have another domain, mcts.mcitp.ms. Now, mcit is a child of mcitp. So for mcts, who is the parent? mcitp. And what will be the relation between ms and mcts? Now ms will become the parent for the ms is the parent for mcitp. Now mcit is the parent for mcts. So ms will become what? Grandparent. So ms will become the grandparent and mcts will become grandchild. Your first domain is parent. After that, all child domain. Now the last slide, forest. Forest means which consists of multiple trees. It can be there with contiguous and non-contiguous. So your first domain is root domain, which is also called forest root. Forest root is also called as forest root domain is the first domain created, which is called parent domain. So the first domain, that is parent domain, will show when you go to the command prompt, type it netspec cons. It will be showing the first domain. If it is a domain, it will show primary. So already I told you, how do you distinguish between parent DC and child DC? So this enterprise admin and schema admin will be present only in the parent DC. So these two users are present in parent DC, parent DC. Under these two users are present in parent DC under ADUC console users, but not present in, but these two users not present in any ADC, or you can say, sorry, you can say better, in any child domain. Yes, it will be never present in any child domain. So this is how you can distinguish. So only in the parent domain, these two users will be there, schema admin and enterprise admin. So this is how you have to distinguish between parent domain and child domain. Opa, CA. Okay. Now you can see here multiple trees. That is called forest. So what is your first tree name, parent domain name? Okay. So shall we have a break? So with this we have done with the theory part. Shall we have a break? After the break, we'll do 3 practicals. First practical, how to make ADC. Second practical, how to make child DC. Third practical, how to make a tree. Because first domain is already created. So that is your forest. Parent domain and forest name will be same. So your first domain is your forest. So already forest is created and parent domain is created in our case. So we have to create today 3 practical. We have to do 3 practicals. So we have to create today ADC, child domain and new tree. So that will be our practical. So now we'll have a break. After the break, we'll continue with the practicals. So I'm keeping my mic in mute position. Shall we start the practical? Yes. Shall we start the practical? Yes, sir. Shall we start the practical? So our first practical will be how to make the ADC. So already our DC is there. So to make the ADC, first we need to make our machine from the member server to the work group. Then we have to follow these steps. Okay. So to make the DC and ADC, this should be the steps. So this is your DC. Which is already created. So we have two machines, system 2, which is already now member server. So we need to change it into work group. How to change, I'll show you. After that, you can make this as a ADC. So how to do that? Install ADDS, then promote it. Promote to ADC by using first option. Then it will become DC. Oh, sorry, this is to become ADC. So now here the IP will be 10.1, preferred DNS 10.1, alternate DNS 10.2, and the IP here should be 10.2, preferred DNS should be 10.2, and alternate DNS should be 10.1. This is the setup you have to do. Okay, so now let me start the practical. Using this setup you have to do it. So we need to start as usual two machines. Okay. So ADC, first practical ADC. So to make the ADC, all the steps are given here. First to change it into member server to work group. How to do it? Go to the second machine. Right click on the PC or computer, click on the change, then go to the more, remove the DNS suffix, select the work group, restart the machine. Then give the IP address and preferred DNS and alternate this. Everything you have to do in second machine. Then install ADS, as you know, promote it. Made as a aid. This is your first practical. Now second practical, to make the child domain. So once you know how to make a ADC, child domain also very easy and tree also very easy. So these three practicals we have to do. Okay. Okay, fine. Now So in the DC machine, we don't have to do anything today. So this is our DC. So how can I know this is my DC? Go to the command prompt, type it net space accounts. So it will be showing primary. So everything we have to do in here. So here my DC main name is what? Sys1. And the IP address is also 10.1. Go to the member server. Everything has to be done here. So first this machine is in work group. So you change it in, sorry, this machine is in member server. So first change it into work group. So this machine is a second machine. So this is your second machine, which is the member server. So our setup was one DC, one member server. All the practicals we were doing like this. But today we need to make this machine, to make it as a ADC. First, this machine has to be changed into work group. So how to change it? So when you want to make DC or ADC, the machine should be in work group. So select the computer, right click properties, then go to the change setting, then click on change. Then before you change into the work group, you go to the more, because behind this, the members in the member server, our domain name will be there. Compulsory we have to remove that. So go to the more, here our DNS suffix will be there. Using the delete key, remove that, then say OK. Now you change the work group. You change it from the domain model to work group. Select the work group and simply write WG to make it work group. Okay. Now the machine will change to work group. It will ask us to restart. See, it is changed to work group CF. So this is how you have to change the machine. So but still here it is showing domain. It should show here work group. That will show after you restart. So this is how you have to change the machine from member server to work group. Now here you can see here. The machine has been changed to see here. It is become completely work group. Now you can make this as a ADC. So for that, first check the IP address. Static IP should be there. So change the network adapter. So for VPN, we use two LAN cards. So make the second LAN card disabled. You use only first LAN card. Now check the IP address. 10.2. Here also it should be 10.2. IP address and preferred DNS should be same, because when we make the ADC, DNS also will get installed. And alternate DNS should be our DC IP. Okay. Now you start the making it as a ADC. So for that, open the server manager console. First thing you have to install ADDS. Here any ADDS is there? No, we made this as a backup of DNS, DSCP. So that's what here it's showing. So now ADDS is not installed. ADDS is not installed. So first install the ADDS. How to install it? We already know. So click on add rules and features. Then click on next. Next 3 times. Then check the box. Only second option. Second option you have to check. Active domain service. Don't install any other service. Otherwise your system will get stuck very often. Just you start the machine, it will get hanged because these are very big services. So just to select active domain service. Add the features. Next. Next. Now you see here any yellow mark is there. That is for the DSCP, not for the promote this to DC. So now you just install it. Here you will find here ADDS also. Next, install. So now I'm installing the ADDS. Now it is got installed. Now see here, ADDS got installed. So now the yellow mark is for also promote this server to domain control. So earlier we made it as a failover DSCP that is there, but we have to concentrate today on ADC. So click on promote flag and click on promote this domain controller. So you might have remembered when we discussed the first class of Active Directory, I said when we are creating our first domain, that time we have selected the third option. 3 options are there. So when we make our DC, we have selected first option. So add a new forest because your first DC is your parent DC. Parent DC and forest name will be always same. So already our parent DC is created, so our forest is created. So that's what we don't have to use the third option. Now, I said on that day, when you will use the first and second option, I'll tell you in the second class of the Active Directory. So today, I'll tell you when you have to use the first option and when you have to use the second option. So once you understand these 2 options plus this option, then you know the structure of the Active Directory. So please concentrate on the whenever you want to make the ADC. So whenever you want to make the ADC, whether it is a ADC of the parent DC or ADC of the child DC. So whenever you want to make a ADC, backup domain controller, additional domain controller, you have to use the first option. You can read and understand. Add a domain control to existing domain means already a domain is created. So you want to make the additional domain controller, that is nothing but backup server. Backup server name is what? ADC, additional domain controller. So whenever you want to make a ADC, use the first option. Then when you will use the second option, you see here. Once I select the second option, here what is highlighting? Child domain. So whenever you want to create a child domain or new tree, so whenever you want to make a child domain or new tree, you have to use the second option. So I repeat, first option is used to make the ADC. And whenever you want to make the child domain or new tree, you have to use second option. And whenever you want to create your parent DC, your parent DC or new forest, you have to use the third option. So please tell me, have you understood these 3 options? If you understood these three options means over. Today's all the three practicals you will understood. I'll show you all the three practicals. First ADC. So now to make the ADC, which option I need to select? Just now I explain you. If I want to make the, yes, very nice Irfan. So select the first option. Now here, DC and ADC name should be same, remember. So we have created the DC with what name? Zoom.com. So ADC should be also created with the same name. DC and ADC name should be same. Sorry, I forgotten to inform you here. Our DC and ADC should be created with the same name. So if you have created your DC, suppose with the name zoom.com, so your ADC should be also created with the same name. DC and ADC name should be same. Backup server name should be same, remember. Let us come to the practical. So now here, zoom.com. So select the first option. In the domain you write, your DC and ADC name should be same. So my DC name is zoom.com. Here, if you have forgotten, you can check. So how do you check it? So my domain name is zoom.com. So here also same thing. Now next option is not highlighting. So you need to click on change. And here you have to write domain administrator name. So what is our domain administrator name? First administrator name. Administrator @domain name. Then the password of the DC machine administrator. Then next option will highlight. See here, next. Now the page is loading. You have to wait. Now here page is got loaded. So here it is asking the password. This is the password for the ADC, ntds.dit, and sysvol folder will be created. For that, this password. So you can keep simple, same single password, administrator password for database file also. When we make the DC also, same thing we have given. Now for ADC also same. Next, just read and say next. Now replication, whatever is there in DC will replicate to the ADC. So our DC name is replication from DC. DC name is sys1.zoom.com. Then next. Now ntds.dit file is created. Next. Now if you click on install, over, this machine will become the ADC. So today we will not click on install because we have to do two more practicals. I need to show you how to create a child domain and new tree. So that's why don't click on install, click on cancel so that we can do the two practicals as well as tomorrow again, the third session of Active Directory, we have to make ADC. So tomorrow we'll click on the install. So today we'll just cancel it. Yes. Now our first practical is completed. Second practical, how to create a child domain. So child domain also will create in this machine because we have two machines. Already one DC should be there. So now click on again, ADDS is installed. Click on flag. Now click on promote this domain controller. Now to make this as a child domain, go to the second option as I explained you. Here child domain. So my parent domain name is zoom.com. So my child domain name should be MCSE or any name without any extension. So the complete name will become mcsc.zoom.com. Okay. So here next option is not highlighting. So give the parent domain name, your DC name, and new domain. Just write the name without any extension for new child domain. Now we are doing the child domain. So once you select the second option, child domain will take default. So write the parent domain name new. Only this window is important. After that, everything same. Click on change domain administrator as we have done for the ADC, same. Okay. Then after that, you have to go for the next. After that, you go for the next. Then next option will not highlight. So you give the password for the ADDS, sorry, ntds.dit file, which will be created now. So give the password for ntds.dit file and sysvol folder. So when the option is next is highlighting, don't do anything. Just click on next. So here, NetBIOS name without extension. The ntds.dit file is created. Now next option will highlight. So if you click on next, it will become child domain. So if you go to the command prompt, it will show primary. But in this, if you go to the ADUC console users, in that schema admin and enterprise admin won't be there. Like my original parent DC. If I go to the here server manager console, this is our original DC. So if you go to the ADUC console, here you will have schema admin and schema admin. See here, schema admin and enterprise admin will be there. So this will be present only in the parent DC, schema admin and enterprise admin. So this is how you have to distinguish between parent domain and child. Only in parent domain it will be there. So in one forest, how many parent can be there? Only one, and remaining all child domain. So if you click on install, it will become child domain, but you cannot do the last practical, how to create a new tree. So for that, what you do, just cancel, because we have done all the things. Just we are not clicking on install. So cancel it, yes. Now the last practical for today, how to create a new how to create a new tree. So for that, again, already ADDS is installed. So go to the flag, flag, and again click on promote this server. Again, you have to select the second option because you are not making the ADC. So first option is ruled out. You are not making the forest. Third option is ruled out. Second option only. So once you select second option, child domain, it will show. But if you drag down, another option is also there, that is tree. Whenever you use option, and whenever you want to make ADC, first option. Whenever you want to create the parent DC and the new forest, third option. That's it. So I've selected here tree. I want to create new tree. So forest name, zoom.com, a new domain. Now here you have to write some new name like ccna.com. So this is now new domain, but still it is a child domain. So this is the parent and this is the child. So this is called new tree. So this is a new tree, non-contiguous domain name. Parent name is here, but not here. So in the child domain name, just write NetBIOS name. But for the new tree, you have to write a name with extension. Now next option will not highlight. So you go to the change, then write the domain administrator name. And the password. Over. Now just we have to read next, that's it. So this is how you can make a This is how you can make a new tree. The page is loading, we have to wait. Now it's got loaded. So again, you assign the password for the entds.dit file. Now it's got loaded. So just to give the password for the entds.dit file, which will be created. Same administrator password you can use. Just read and say next, next. That's it. Next, next. Now, if you click on install, it will become the new tree. Again, it will show primary. But here in ADUC console, in this machine, you will not have any schema admin and enterprise admin. Okay. So just click on cancel. Yes. So we have done with today's MCSE session. So in that we done 3 practicals. So I hope you understood all the 3 practical. Yes. Now you know how to create the ADC, how to create a child, how to create a tree. Yes. Okay. Now we will start the Linux sessions. Today introduction part. If you want, I will do installation also. So what is Linux? Yes, what is Linux? Linux is also an operating system like Windows. So Windows is designed from DOS, Linux is designed from Unix. So now we'll see how to install the Linux OS. So mostly the Linux OS is more secure compared to Windows. So most of the servers they are working on Windows. Sorry, most of the servers they are working on Linux. Most of the clients prefer to use Windows because it is easy to operate. So I'm not saying all, I'm saying most because Linux is more secure, but it is not easy to operate as Windows. Okay. Now we will see how to install the Linux OS. So here you just can ping to me. I'm taking separate Linux course for 15 days Linux administration. So for that one file I have created. So that file I'll send to you so that you will get extra content. So in this all 15 days topic we will be not teaching. 1 week fundamentals of Linux we are teaching, but I'll give you this file. So you just ping to me on my WhatsApp for Linux file. I'll send you. So today I will give the link from where you have to download the equivalent of RHL 7 is CentOS 7. So I'm giving you the link for this operating system. So please copy this link and paste it in the URL and start downloading. Don't download this. Oh, sorry, don't copy this. So you just need to copy the link like I'm showing you. This link you copy, open the browser, paste this link, enter. Now you will have so many Linux OS. You download the second one. That's why I given in the bracket because this is better, 4.4. You click on that, it will start downloading. So I already downloaded and copied it here. So you already have the VMware. Now you have downloaded the CentOS 7. So like MCSE, you can create a new virtual machine and you can do the installation. Okay. So just give me 5 to 10 minutes. I will show you, then we'll stop the session. So I'll show you how to create a virtual machine. Now this time for the Linux. So double click on that. Now click here on create a new machine. Typical, same like MCSE. Then select here third option. Don't use the second option. Select the third option. I will install the operating system later. Next. Now select the Linux in place of Windows. Now select the Linux in place of Windows. Now in that, so many flavors are there. Which OS we have downloaded? CentOS 7, 64-bit. You select the CentOS 7, 64-bit. Next. So you can create in any location. And here for the size, 11 GB is enough. 11 to 12 GB. Then select here, store this as a single file. Next. Before finish. So what I have done, same like MCSE, nothing new. Just one thing you have to change. That is, here you have to select the in place of Windows Linux name. After that, the size is very less. That's it. Then click on customize hardware. Go to the CD DVD. Select ISO image. So where I kept my ISO image for easy understanding purpose on desktop. So I'll go to the desktop. Here I have selected over. Path is given. Now I'll show you how to proceed with the installation. So click on finish. One virtual machine is created. Same like Windows. Now to do the installation, power on. Power on. Then make it a full size. Just 5 minutes installation. Same like Windows graphical. Use the first option. Using the up arrow key. Using the first option. Select the up arrow key and first option. Enter. Now press enter one more time. Now here select the first language to do installation like we have done in MCSE. Same thing. Continue. Select the language English. Continue. Now here begin installation is not highlighting. So you need to configure the things as per our requirement. So first go to the date and time. So according to the India map you select. From here if you select it will take more time. Go to the map. Don't go inside India. Just be right side. Now it is selected. So it is your choice. 12 hours or 24 hours. Done. Language is already selected. Now go to the software selection. So like in Windows, server core means it will work in the text mode. So same way, software installation means it will work in text mode. So go to the software selection here, select server with GUI. Like in Windows, server with GUI, same way, server with GUI. Done. Now wait for few seconds. It will update. So go to the software selection, compulsory select server with GUI. Then only you can work in graphical mode. Otherwise you will work in text mode. Still begin installation will not highlight because Linux OS can be installed on multiple partitions. This is the important advantage. The Windows OS can be installed on single drive, but Linux OS can be installed on multiple partitions. So it is recommended to create 4 partitions. So for that, click on installation destination. So click on installation destination, go to the second option. I will configure partitioning, then go to the done. So select here, installation destination, click on installation destination, then go to the I will configure partitioning, done. Now create 4 partitions. Under partitioning scheme, select standard partition. Click on installation destination, select the second option, then say done. Now it will come this under partitioning scheme, select standard partition, create 4 partitions, slash. So in Windows, the OS get installed on C drive. In Linux, the OS get installed on directory. There is no drive. So slash directory, which is equivalent to C drive. So here you give the OS size is 5 GB. So you give like 6 GB. Then like in Windows C drive, under C drive, we have some important folders like Windows, System 32, program file, user. Similar to that, some important subdirectories like slash boot, which contain Linux OS, Linux kernel and bootable bootloader through which it will do the booting process. So 100 MB is enough. So you give 200. If you write 200, it will take default 200 MB. For lab purpose, this is enough. Then users data will be stored in Linux in slash home. In Windows, users. So here 500 MB is enough. So one partition we should create compulsory for slash, one partition for slash boot, one partition for slash home. Now you create one partition for swap to improve the system performance. Logical memory 1 GB. So out of 11 GB, we allocated about like 7 GB, 3 GB is free. Okay, done. Once you create 4 partition, this is mandatory. 4 partition create. Over. Done. Accept the changes. Now begin installation is highlighted. Now click on begin installation. Administrator account name in Linux is root. In Windows, administrator. Here it is called root. So assign the password. So like in Windows 7 character, here it also shows 7 or 8 character. But if you give 1 character, it will accept. So give your password, first character of your name or your name as a password. Because if you forget the root password, you can reset, but lengthy process, same like Windows. So just whatever password you can remember easily, like your name or first character of your name, you can give it. Then confirm it. It will say 8 character, but if you give 1 also, it will accept. Done. Click on done twice. Now compulsory you have to create one user at the time of installation with any name. I'm using K. Password single character. It will say 8, but if I give done twice, it will accept. Over. So now it has to install 1186 applications. So it will take time. Already I started late. Now I took extra half an hour extra. So sorry for that because some guest our relatives came. So I compensated by taking the extra time. So we don't have much problem now. Tomorrow we can continue. So if the installation is going on, you cannot power off it. So what you have to do at that time, you just, because it will take about 10 to 15 minutes. So I don't want you to keep waiting for that. So we can just click on suspended mode. When the installation is completed, you have to power off. Now installation is not completed. So if you have some emergency, you want to continue later, you keep it in suspended. So tomorrow from here only I'll show you. So tomorrow we'll see the MCSE third class, the difference between DC and ADC. And after that, this installation will be completed. I'll show you basic commands, how to log in, how to create file. Tomorrow I'll show you. Okay. So that's, I'm keeping in suspended mode. Okay. So that brings to the end of our today's session. So that's it for today. Thank you, everybody. So if you have any questions, any doubt, please ask. Yes, if you have any questions, any doubt, please ask. Okay, thank you all of you. Sorry, I made you to wait a little bit because our relatives came. So I informed you, then I started a little bit late and took the extra time also now, half an hour extra. So I thank you all of you for your cooperation. So happy Deepavali to all of you and your family. Thank you for your wishes. Same to you. Thank you. Thank you, Kapil. So once again, wishing you happy Deepavali to you and to your family, all of you. Thank you. So I'm closing this session. See you tomorrow. So enjoy your festival. See you tomorrow.